Nagari greeted his mother with a good morning, picked up his lunch, and left for school. However, once at school he became the target of severe bullying. A group of students surrounded him, drew a target on his stomach, and began kicking him without mercy. The ones responsible were 4 students. The fat one was named Ajiki. The girl was Shikimi. The third was Kinugawa, and the last one was Kowis. The beating was so intense that Nagari lost control and wet himself. The urine spread and touched Kinugawa's shoes. In a rage, Kinugawa kicked him even harder and shouted at him, demanding to know if he understood how expensive those shoes were. At that moment, their leader Okaya arrived. He told Kinugawa that he had already warned him not to hit Nagari's face. Kinugawa immediately backed off and apologized. But Okaya wasn't done. He crushed Nagari's lunchbox and filled it with cockroaches and other insects. When Nagari refused to eat it, Okaya forcefully shoved the lunch into his mouth. They were all targeting Nagari for a single reason. Okaya couldn't stand the look in Nagari's eyes, which he described as rebellious. After school, Nagari quietly returned home. His mother had prepared a small party and a cake, as it was his 14th birthday. When Maria saw the wound on his face, she gently asked what happened. Nagari just smiled and replied that he had gotten trapped at school. Maria, who had nursing experience, carefully treated his injury and applied a bandage. Later that night, she called Nagari's father and told him about her concern that their son was being bullied. But his father dismissed her worry, calling her overprotective, and ended the call. Lying in bed and playing games, Nagari suddenly received a disturbing video. It showed his mother involved in an affair. He immediately realized it was fake because the voice didn't match his mother's. Right after that he received a message from Kowis, asking him to come to the observatory. Nagari made his way to the observatory on the mountain, where the whole group was already gathered. They started insulting his mother, calling her names like expired auntie. Okaya then gave him an ultimatum. If Nagari didn't want the fake video of his mother to be spread, he had to jump from the mountain. Without hesitation, and in order to protect his mother's dignity, Nagari jumped. At the same time, Maria had been tracking her son through a phone app and arrived near the mountain. Suddenly she saw her son lying on the road, his legs completely broken. She ran toward him, but before she could help, a truck ran over him, killing him instantly. Maria collapsed to the ground, holding what was left of her son, crying in grief. The bullies, terrified by what happened, quickly ran away to avoid being arrested. Back at home, Maria lay in bed, broken by the tragedy. When Nagari's father apologized for not protecting their son, she rejected his apology and told him they were supposed to be parents. Days later, Maria found Nagari's diary. Inside it was every detail of what he had suffered. She also discovered his laptop, where he had saved all the evidence. As she went through everything, she came to a terrifying realization. The ones who had done this were no longer human. They were demons in need of judgment. 2 years passed, and Maria reappeared at the same school, not as a parent, but as the school nurse. One day, Okaya walked into the infirmary holding a poster that said, "No bullying." Maria held her emotions back and told him he was very admirable. Having killed her old self, she couldn't afford to make a single mistake. On the school grounds, Kowis was seen bullying a girl named Yajima. He showed her a secret video of her changing clothes and forced her to bring him 30,000 yen every month. Maria approached them and asked what was going on. Kowis quickly made up a lie, saying Yajima had puked and he was helping her. Before walking away, he threatened Yajima not to tell anyone, or he'd release her video. Later, Kowis bragged to his friends about almost being caught by the nurse. His friends warned him that if they ever got exposed, they'd kill him. Kowis reassured them, saying no one had found out what really happened to Nagari 2 years ago. Suddenly, Okaya appeared behind him and asked if he had mentioned Nagari's name. He told Kowis to never speak that name again, explaining how much he had hated his rebellious eyes. In an attempt to please Okaya, Kowis pulled out some money to offer him. Okaya didn't even look at it and walked away. Standing there, Kowis remembered Nagari's words, that Okaya didn't actually care about him. Now, those words were starting to feel true. Back at home, Kowis received 2 terrifying videos. One showed him bullying Nagari, something he thought was deleted years ago. The other was a personal and humiliating clip of himself. A message followed, demanding 3 million yen. It was sent by Maria. Still stressed, Kowis saw Yajima walking nearby and angrily approached her. He demanded satisfaction, claiming he was irritated. Yajima ignored him and tried to escape. Since she never acted like this before, Kowis believed she had sent the videos. He dragged her away and began torturing her, trying to force the truth out. Even though she repeatedly denied any involvement, he kept going and tried to drown her. At that moment, Maria entered and disappeared with him in an instant. Kowis woke up in a tank with his hand chained. Water started pouring into the tank. Maria stood before him and welcomed him calmly. Kowis thought it was some kind of prank or set up by someone else. But when he saw Maria's expression, he realized it was real. She told him he was being punished for stealing something precious from her. Now, she would steal his oxygen. Kowis assumed it was revenge for Yajima and claimed he was only playing. Maria told him to shut up and gave him a final chance. If he could enter the greatest sin he had ever committed, he could escape. Kowis searched through his memories and decided to enter the date of Nagari's death. But he didn't even remember when they killed him. Instead of feeling regret, he cursed Nagari for not dying on a holiday. The water in the tank kept rising. With no other choice, he had to cut off his hand using a blade. At first, he refused, but desperation took over. He pressed the blade into his skin and began slicing. When he reached the bone, the knife got stuck. It wasn't sharp enough. Kowis struggled but couldn't go through with it. Eventually, he drowned. Maria pulled his lifeless body from the tank and hugged it tightly. She whispered that the greatest sin he had ever committed was simply being born. Days later, Okaya tried calling Kowis, but received no answer. Then, Nagari's father, Taichiro, who worked as a detective, arrived at the school. He stood in front of Okaya to begin an investigation into Kowis' disappearance. Okaya warmly greeted Taichiro, speaking with respect and friendliness. He even requested Taichiro to help find Kowis as quickly as possible. During their conversation, Taichiro mentioned his son, Nagari, reminding Okaya that they used to be classmates. Okaya's expression instantly shifted, and he put on a sad face as he called Nagari's death a tragic accident. Taichiro smiled gently, saying it brought him comfort that the students still remembered his son. He also shared that ever since Maria divorced him, he had never spoken about their son with anyone. Meanwhile, Kinugawa and the others were at a restaurant. He grew annoyed seeing how the others behaved as if everything was normal, so he brought up Kowis' sudden disappearance. But Shikimi dismissed his concern, saying she didn't care and told Kinugawa to stop thinking about it. This angered Kinugawa. He insisted that Kowis was still their friend. Shikimi rolled her eyes, told him not to get emotional, and left, saying she had plans to go fishing. Later, Shikimi was seen in a hotel room with an adult man. Before anything could happen, another man barged in, accusing the adult of trying to sleep with a minor. It became clear that Shikimi had set the situation up intentionally for money. While showering afterward, her thoughts drifted to Okaya. At school, Kowis' homeroom teacher approached Maria, asking about his whereabouts. Maria calmly replied that she didn't know anything. But as the teacher turned to leave, she brought up a matter concerning Shikimi, who was one of his students. Shortly after, Shikimi came storming toward Kinugawa and the fat student, furious. She accused them of revealing her side job. Maria had told the teacher about Shikimi's actions, but Shikimi assumed Kinugawa and the fat one were the ones who had snitched. She was about to attack Kinugawa when he grabbed her leg and demanded she stop accusing her own friends. Unbeknownst to them, Maria stood behind the door, silently watching everything unfold. Her investigation was over. It was now time to act. A while ago, Nagari had been falsely accused of stealing Shikimi's gym clothes after they were found in his bag. Despite his desperate denial, no one had believed him. That incident had completely destroyed his image in the class. Maria had discovered all of this in Nagari's notes. Now, Shikimi had become her next target. The following day, Okaya gathered everyone and revealed that Kowis had been missing for 3 weeks. Despite the police looking into it, there were no leads. Some believed he had gone on a trip or met with an accident, but Okaya suspected something darker. He might have been murdered. He warned them to stay alert, as it seemed like someone was targeting them. Later in class, Shikimi searched her bag and realized her gym clothes were missing. When she questioned her classmates, Kinugawa snapped at her, telling her to shut up. In the heat of their argument, she kicked his bag. When it spilled open, her missing gym clothes fell out. Enraged, Shikimi confronted Kinugawa. He fired back, yelling that she was framing him, just like she did with Nagari. Everyone in the classroom heard the outburst. Panicking, Shikimi laughed it off, claiming it was just an act. To shift attention, she repeated her accusation and said Kinugawa stole her clothes during her chemistry class. Kinugawa responded that he had been in the toilet, but she refused to believe him. At that moment, Maria entered the classroom and calmly stated that Kinugawa had been with her during that time. She asked Shikimi to explain herself. Kinugawa backed her up, saying Maria had called him in for a consultation before class. Shikimi realized she was losing control of the situation. To divert blame, she pointed fingers at a random boy who was just reading manga. But it was too late. No one believed her anymore. The class murmured about Nagari and mocked Shikimi, saying no one would want her gym clothes anyway. Maria stepped in and told everyone to stop, reminding them there was no evidence. She warned Shikimi that if she kept accusing others, she would soon be left completely alone. But the damage was done. Everyone looked at her with cold eyes. Shikimi shoved Maria aside and stormed out, insisting she wasn't a loner. Maria followed and caught up to her, softly saying, "You're such a pitiful child, aren't you?" That single sentence froze Shikimi. It turns out Maria had planted her gym clothes in Kinugawa's bag after calling him into a meeting. Everything was part of her plan. And it worked perfectly. Later, Shikimi sat in a car with a man, determined to take revenge on Maria. That night, as Maria headed home, a group of men ambushed her. She tried to escape but got caught. At home, Shikimi waited, expecting news of Maria's defeat. Instead, the door opened, and Maria entered with icy eyes. The next thing Shikimi knew, she was tied up and hanging over a large pit. It was time for her judgment. Maria explained how she dealt with the attackers, tossed two of them and seduced the ringleader into a trap. From him, she also learned everything about Shikimi's plan. Maria told her that she and Kowis had no awareness of the pain they had caused. Hearing Kowis' name, Shikimi finally understood why he vanished. Now it was her turn. A candle slowly burned the rope she was hanging from. Below her, the pit was filled with swarming insects. But Maria gave her one chance. She could send a message to one person without revealing her situation. At first, Shikimi felt relieved, until she saw the phone had no SIM card. Maria showed her a box full of blades and said the SIM had accidentally fallen in. Now, Shikimi had to use her mouth to search for it. She tried moving the cutters with her face but got cut right away. Tears filled her eyes as she cried, asking why this was happening. Maria told her to stop pretending to be a victim. She explained that Shikimi's suffering was nothing but the outcome of her own cruelty. Suddenly, Shikimi recalled how she forced Nagari to search for his keys in the nail box with his mouth. And now she knew. Maria was Nagari's mother. Shikimi realized Maria's final goal, Okaya. Despite her own fear of pain, she plunged her face into the box, frantically searching for the SIM. Her feelings for Okaya were so strong that she didn't care about herself anymore. All that mattered was warning him. Eventually, she found the SIM, but her face and mouth were covered in cuts. When Maria allowed her to choose someone to message, she picked Okaya. But when she opened their chat, she saw a harsh truth. She was the only one who ever tried talking to him. He had never cared. Still, she asked Maria to send the message. "If you like me, come to this place immediately." She wanted to send that message, however, she doesn't have courage and messaged the guy who she has sent before to attack Maria. In the message, she told him she had a new target who could get the money. But the man rejected her and cursed her in response. It turned out that during their time at the hotel, Maria had revealed everything to him, how Shikimi used him and insulted him on private social media. Shikimi's habit of using people had caught up with her. Now she was alone. Even then, she didn't regret anything. She believed Okaya would eventually kill Maria and reunite her with Nagari. Without another word, Maria cut the rope. Shikimi fell into the hole. When she landed, she discovered the ground was coated in honey. The insects swarmed her, drawn to the sweet scent, and began devouring her alive. Only then did she begin to cry and beg for forgiveness. But it was already far too late. After some days, Kinugawa and Okaya were interrogating a gangster who used to be in Shikimi's gangster team. While crying, Kinugawa asked him where Shikimi was, but the guy didn't know where she was. In the end, even after beating the guy severely, they didn't get any answer. Then, Okaya revealed his thoughts about the situation. Okaya concludes that Shikimi didn't know where Kowis went, and Kowis most likely didn't have any connection with Shikimi's gangster team. Meaning, questioning those gangsters will get them nothing. So, Okaya assumes that the one who killed Shikimi and Kowis is most likely Nagari's parents. Now, Ijima, who used to be with Shikimi, is a concern left for Maria. At the day when she eliminated Shikimi, she kidnapped Ijima and questioned him. Meaning, if Ijima got caught by police, he will most likely call out Maria's name, which will cause problems for Maria. On the day when she kidnapped him, she didn't kill him because he wasn't her target. But now after a week, she has realized that even if she doesn't kill him, she has to remove every point of concern. Since the day Maria has killed Shikimi, Ijima has not gone home. There's also a chance that he might run away due to the fact that Shikimi might expose his crimes. Regardless, before the police find him, Maria has to find Ijima before them. Maria knows that Ijima always conducts his trades in the club every week, so she went to a club to find him. But while she was looking for him, Kinugawa spotted her and asked her what she was doing in a club. She answered that clubs are meant for adults, so she can come here. But Kinugawa is still suspicious because he thinks that Maria isn't the type of woman to come to a club. Suddenly, he remembers that when Shikimi's gym clothes appeared in his bag, and after that she stopped coming to school. The last person that went after her was Maria. Hearing that, Maria realized that if she gave a straight answer to him, she'd most likely get caught. So, she started crying in front of Kinugawa, saying that she already knew that it was her fault. Maria said that when Shikimi started accusing everything during that gym clothes incident, she went to her and told her that if she kept on accusing everyone, she would become very miserable. While crying, Maria said to Kinugawa that if she had chosen different words at that time, Shikimi would have been fine. Seeing her crying, Kinugawa didn't ask further questions and said to her that he already knew she hadn't done anything wrong. When Kinugawa was about to leave, Maria stopped him and asked if he had any hint about where Shikimi would have gone. Kinugawa answered that it's none of her business, but she started shouting saying that she's Shikimi's teacher, so she has to do anything she can to find her. Right then, Kinugawa spotted Ijima and immediately jumped him. But it turns out that the guy just had a hairstyle that was like Ijima's. Still, Kinugawa didn't stop and was about to hit the guy, asking him why he has such a misleading hairstyle. Before he could hit him, Maria grabbed his hand, telling that violence is bad. But Kinugawa was so strong that he easily broke free from Maria's grip and hit the ground. While crying, Kinugawa finally answered Maria's question, saying that Kowis and Shikimi are already dead. And now he's trying to find the one who killed them so he could punish them. Kinugawa is the type of guy who will do anything for his friends, even if it means using violence to fulfill his friends' wishes. Now that his two friends have died, he's really angry. No matter who came in his path, he will take down anyone. Now that he used a violence on a guy, the guard arrived there and asked him to come with him. But Kinugawa didn't listen and beat down the guard. Suddenly, a police officer arrived there, which caused Kinugawa to run away. That police officer was Taiichiro, Maria's ex-husband. Seeing him, Maria also left the club immediately. It turns out that the police have already found Ijima. When Maria went home and turned on the TV to see the news, she learned that police had found the body of a man on K Mountain. She was shocked to see that the body that police had found was Ijima's. After the investigation, it was revealed that Ijima was killed by someone a week ago. Police also found out that last time Ijima was seen leaving a building in T-Town. So, the police have decided to go there to further investigate. Meanwhile, Maria is also wondering how Ijima died. 1 week ago, when Shikimi used her chance to message Ijima, he was well alive, as he also messaged back. And from Kinugawa's reaction that she saw in the club, she also can't be the culprit. Ijima has his own enemy, but the timing is too perfect to just brush it off as a coincidence. As she found with Ijima and her group, while keeping the placement of cameras in mind, there's a chance the one who killed Ijima was at the scene. She wonders if the culprit knows her. In the meantime, Kinugawa is getting angry because Ijima died without his permission. While Kinugawa wasn't thinking straight, Okaya and Ajiki were taking everything into consideration to try to find out if the Shikimi and Kowis case is related to this Ijima's death or not. Okaya assumes that Ijima's isn't killed by the one who killed Shikimi and Kowis, because Ijima's body was easily found by police, like an amateur doing a bad job in his work. On the other hand, in Shikimi and Kowis' case, no evidence has been left behind by the culprit, which means a third party has entered the game. Meanwhile, Maria is thinking that if Ijima was killed due to a personal grudge, there wouldn't be any issue for her. However, the timing is just too perfect for that. She assumes that this occurrence has something to do with her revenge. She assumes that the culprit knows the relationship between her and Ijima, and for some reason decided to commit a crime to keep their relationship secret. If this is the reason, there's a possibility that the culprit would try to come in contact with her. Right then, Yajima entered the room and asked Maria if she had free time to talk to her. When Maria asked her to say what she wanted, she revealed that she was at the place when Kowis went missing. Hearing that, Maria wondered if she was seen by her. If Maria was seen by Yajima, there's a chance she also knows about all the things she's done until now. She said that she was getting tortured by Kowis at the moment he disappeared. She said that she was too scared to become a suspect to the police. So, she kept it a secret. In the end, it turns out that Yajima didn't see Maria committing any crime. To comfort Yajima, she hugged her and said that her secret will be safe with her. After that, Maria went to a shop and asked the boy to tell her about the Ijima's incident. This shopkeeper boy is Yuda, who used to study in the same class as Nagari. Yuda was also getting bullied by those four who used to bully Nagari. While sitting in the car, Yuda demands to know how Maria knew it was him. She revealed that she learned about him from the notes that Nagari had left behind. She learned that Yuda was supposed to be dropped out from the school, but she spotted him wearing the school uniform and following her via security cameras in school. And also the only that would have been benefited from Ijima's murder was Maria, and the only reason culprit would help her is because that person is also a victim. This was all the reason that led Maria to Yuda. After confirming it was Yuda who killed Ijima, she asked him why he decided to help her. He revealed that from the start he always ran away from his problems. Yuda still regrets how he left behind Nagari to suffer in school, and he alone ran away. After Nagari died, Yuda couldn't stand seeing the one who killed Nagari, living a happy and peaceful life. From that moment, he decided to punish them. Yuda's first target was Kowis. He wanted to crush his eyes and slit his throat. He wants to rob him of his ability to scream and slice open his stomach. He wanted to pull out his intestines and stuff it into his mouth. But he was too scared to do it. When he lost all hope, Maria appeared before his eyes. Yuda followed her around and saw killing Kowis. Even though Yuda wanted to assist her, she did her job so perfectly that Yuda wasn't able to provide any help. One day, he saw Maria with Ijima. He knew that Ijima is linked to Shikimi, and to destroy all evidence, Maria should kill her. But he couldn't believe that she let him live. So, he thought that he should kill him to help Maria. In the end, he killed Ijima and buried him near the road. After revealing everything, Yuda asked her to use him for her revenge however she wants. But Maria suddenly pulled out her mobile and showed that she had recorded everything that Yuda said. She said that she has all the evidence now which she can use to make Yuda the prime suspect for all the crimes she has committed until now. Saying that, she asked him to get out of her car. After he left, she rode her car away thinking that if she had killed Ijima in the hotel that day, then Yuda would haven't entered this mess. She didn't want the guy who Nagari saved to commit crimes and go to jail. At night, Kinugawa was infiltrating Nagari's house to find evidence. Because Okaya said that Nagari's parents are the prime suspects, that's why Kinugawa is here to find evidence. While Kinugawa was searching the house, Yuda was standing outside ready to record the video. He is doing this to show his value to Maria and help her in her revenge. But before he could do that, Taichiro also arrived outside the house. When Yuda saw Taichiro entering the house, he knew that if Kinugawa got caught here, the revenge plan would be all for nothing. So to make Kinugawa know someone was coming, he dropped a stone in the house. Without wasting a moment, Kinugawa hid on the balcony. Seeing the broken window, Taichiro thought that some naughty kid threw a stone and just left the room. Kinugawa thought that he was safe and decided to enter the room again to continue his search. But immediately after he stepped inside the room, Taichiro came back because he was suspicious. Seeing him, Kinugawa didn't wait a moment and decided to knock out Taichiro and run away. But Taichiro was surprisingly strong and easily overpowered Kinugawa. So to knock him out, Kinugawa picked up the family picture and broke it. This made Taichiro really angry. But before he could do anything, Kinugawa threw the picture toward him and then launched a barrage of punches at Taichiro's face. Even after getting severely beaten, Taichiro tried to save not himself but a picture of his family. After that, Kinugawa just left the place to save himself. When he left, he looked around to see who threw a rock to save him and spotted. Yuda tried to run away from him, but he eventually got caught. But before Kinugawa could do anything, Maria sent him flying by crashing a car into him. In the next moment, Kinugawa found himself tied up with target points around his body. Then, Maria came there holding a crossbow and said, "It's time for the hunt." Even though Kinugawa was tied up, he still got up and tried to kick her, but she dodged it. When he was about to attack her again, Kinugawa noticed that his one leg was really injured. Sitting on the ground, Kinugawa asked her why she killed his friends. So, she showed him a video in which he is bullying Nagari. Seeing the video and remembering Okaya telling him the culprits are most likely Nagari's parents, Kinugawa finally realized that Maria is Nagari's mother. Kinugawa called the Maria's reason for killing his friends stupid. He said that Nagari was stupid and kept getting in their way, that's why they just taught him a little lesson. Kinugawa is getting angry just because Nagari died without their permission. He started saying that Nagari was causing them trouble before, and now that he has died, his mother is causing them trouble. So to shut him up, Maria shot an arrow in his mouth. Maria explained to him the rules of the game that they're about to play. The rules are simple: if Kinugawa survives until the fireworks display ends, it'll be his victory. Many people are firing fireworks today, but today's a festival. Kinugawa immediately runs inside the forest thinking that he'll pretend to run away and will catch Myra when she tries to catch him. Even though his leg is injured, his mouth is pierced with an arrow, he's still smiling. It turns out that Maria already knew what he's thinking and decided to play along with it because she doesn't want to give him a peaceful death. While running, Kinugawa broke the arrow by biting it, and then removed it from his mouth using his tongue as his hands were tied up. Using the broken piece of arrow, he freed himself. Some time later, Maria also arrived there while finding Kinugawa. It turns out that Kinugawa was waiting for her while hiding in the tree, and immediately when he saw her, he jumped down to attack her. But Maria already knew his plan, and shot him with an arrow. That arrow pierced his ear and pinned him to the tree. Even though it was a perfect chance for Maria to kill, she gave him another chance and asked him to use his brain this time. Kinugawa took that chance, and to free himself from the arrow, he tore his ear into 2 points and ran away. Even after doing that, he didn't show any expression of being scared or being in pain. After some running, he found a building. This is the same place where he used to torment Nagari. In the meantime, Okaya and Ajiki were at the festival. It's been 30 minutes since Okaya messaged Kinugawa, but he hasn't received any answer. So, Okaya assumed that Kinugawa had been caught. Somehow, Okaya knows that Kinugawa didn't get caught by the police. It turns out that Okaya has installed GPS on all of his friends' mobiles, so he knows where Kinugawa actually is. Without wasting a moment, Okaya and Ajiki leave the festival to go and save Kinugawa. While sitting in the car, Ajiki asked Okaya if he really saw them as his friends. When Okaya answered yes, Ajiki asked him about his definition of friends. Okaya answered that friend means ally. Friends are the one who helped each other during hard times, that's why the more friends you have the better. Hearing that, Ajiki asked him about why he is enjoying this situation and seeing his friends dying. Okaya answered with a concerned face that he's not enjoying seeing his friend die. Ajiki knows that Okaya is enjoying the situation but he himself isn't aware of it. So, he asked him why he gets angry at his friends whenever they talk about Nagari. He asked Okaya about his relationship with Nagari. Okaya said that he considered Nagari his enemy because no matter how much they bully him, he never ran away. This is the reason why he liked tormenting Nagari the most. After saying that, he asked Ajiki that they should now focus on finding Kinugawa. Okaya assumes that he's still alive because the one who has captured Kinugawa will first bully him and kill painfully. As Kinugawa is really strong, there's a chance they might be able to save him. Meanwhile, Kinugawa entered the building and looking around, he remembered how he used to play with Nagari here. In this place, Kinugawa used to play a game of hide and seek with Nagari. If Nagari got caught within 30 minutes, he'll get punished. In the present, when Kinugawa entered a room where Nagari used to hide, the room exploded. Kinugawa got caught in fire and got really injured. Right then, Maria also arrived there and asked the injured Kinugawa if he had already died. As Kinugawa is really strong, he ignored the pain and tried to run away. But before he could run away, Maria shot her in the shoulder. Seeing how Kinugawa is enduring all the pain, she asked him if he's some kind of monster. Then, she led an angry Kinugawa to a second room. When Kinugawa reached the room, Maria opened the door and some arrows came flying and hit Kinugawa at different places. The things that pierced him weren't arrows, but some little spiky rods that were connected with wires. Before he took them out, Maria turned on the electricity which caused Kinugawa to get shocked all over his body. He thought that he'd survive if he took out these sticky rods. He used full force to pull them out. In the process, he even had to pull out his own eye with his own hands. Now he is really injured and can't even move. He finally starts to get scared after he realizes that everything that is happening to him is the same that he did to Nagari. With that, Maria brings out a chainsaw and decides to finally end Kinugawa's life. When Kinugawa was just a kid, he used to get bullied by his own teacher. One day when he was going home after getting bullied by his teacher, Okaya stopped him and asked him if he wanted revenge. Okaya told him to come to the counseling room after class tomorrow if he wants revenge. The next day when Kinugawa went there, he saw the same teacher who used to bully him, bowing in front of Okaya. From that day onward, Kinugawa, with the help of Okaya, started bullying the teacher. One day, Okaya asked the teacher to send him the naked picture of his daughter. If he didn't send it, Okaya will report the teacher to authorities for bullying Kinugawa, which will also destroy his life. The teacher started crying, asking Okaya to not bring his daughter into this. The next day, Kinugawa was shocked to learn that the teacher has committed suicide. When he asked Okaya why he went this far, he answered that he did this just because he wanted to be friends with Kinugawa. Hearing that, Kinugawa forgot everything and decided to be friends with Okaya. In the present, while Maria is cutting his fingers and limbs slowly, he thought that Maria is similar to Okaya. One by one, and slowly, Maria chased behind Kinugawa and cut his fingers one by one. Slowly, she also cut down Kinugawa's piece of meat. Kinugawa started crying, saying that he surrendered. He asked Maria to stop and said that he'd do anything if she just let him live. Hearing his begging, Maria reminds him that Nagari also used to ask them to stop bullying in the same way, but they never stopped. At the end of some beautiful cutting session, Kinugawa is barely alive with cuts all over his body. Before killing him, Maria asked him how they could enjoy tormenting someone. She said that she tried to imitate them while killing them, but she never gets joy in killing or torturing someone. On the other hand, Ajiki and Okaya have finally arrived. But Maria had already finished her job, so she went to her car where Yuda was also sitting. When Yuda apologized for causing problems for her, she said that she was planning on killing Kinugawa after summer holidays, but because of Yuda, she had to make adjustments in her plan. As Maria has thrown Kinugawa's phone in the mud, she thought that Okaya is most likely soaking in the mud finding Kinugawa's phone. Right then, Yuda received a call from his mom. He picked it up, and his mom asked him to come back because Okaya is here. When Yuda heard that Okaya went to his house, he got scared and immediately muted the call. He wondered why Okaya went to his house. It turns out that when Okaya was going for Kinugawa following the GPS, he heard some people saying how Taichiro, a detective, got robbed today. When Okaya heard that, he asked Ajiki if they're going to Yuda's house. Ajiki asked him why he's not going after Kinugawa. Okaya said that there's something more important than that. He told Ajiki that since that father isn't in commission right now, there is a high chance that the kidnapper is the mother, but from the fact that the police have yet to find even a single hint that ties her to the crimes, if they were to blindly chase the GPS, they might just end up walking into Nagari's mother's trap. Hence, while the culprit is playing with her prey right now, Okaya thinks that it would be a good idea to check out the possibility of a collaborator. Hearing that, Ajiki asked him if the one who killed Ijima is the collaborator and also asked him if he has an idea who can be the collaborator. Okaya said that when Kowis and Shikimi disappeared, the possibility of the culprit being someone related to Nagari skyrocketed. And if Okaya were to add a third person into this equation, the only suitable candidate that comes to his mind is Yuda. Even Okaya doubts that scaredy cat Yuda will be able to kill them. He still wants to check if he has even a minor involvement in any incidents that happened until now. They can go back to following Kinugawa if Yuda isn't involved in any crime. If Yuda is guilty, it will help them a lot in finding Nagari's missing mother. Meanwhile, Yuda still hasn't answered the phone and he's really worried for his mom. He asked Maria to help him, but she said that she's no god. However, the same goes for Okaya. In the end, Maria decided to teach him how to fight so he could protect his mother himself. Maria told Yuda that Okaya is only suspecting him to be the culprit. If he had conclusive evidence, he would have ambushed him instead. The point of contention here isn't the fact that Yuda's mother is now a hostage but rather that she stays as the unknowing party. Hence, if Yuda wants to keep his mother safe, he has to prevent Okaya from finding out that he's the culprit. She asked Yuda to tell his mother, who's now in enemy's territory, to persuade Okaya to return home. With that, Yuda finally unmutes the call. First, he said sorry to his mother for being mute for so long. His mother asked him if he's alright. He said to her mother that he's been keeping a secret from her. And that secret is that he's challenging himself to travel all around Japan. Hearing that, his mother asked him about what he's going to do about lodging and other things. She reminds him that he's still a minor. So, Yuda answered that his online friends are letting him stay over at their house when he comes by. To get the truth if Yuda is guilty or not, Okaya asked him to send a photo of him being with his friends. His mother asked him what kind of friends they are. Yuda answered that his friends are the people who had been bullied in the past. Some of them have a fear of cameras due to being victims of voyeurism. Others have had their personal information leaked on the internet which caused them to abandon their real name. In the worst cases, some of them develop a phobia for other humans. These people who don't even know their real name, Yuda told her mom that these people are letting him live with them. That's why he doesn't want to hand out their personal information or photo. Yuda told her that he will contact her daily to assure her that he's fine. Seeing how Yuda is talking, Maria saw her own son in him. Hearing the story that Yuda made up, his mom started crying and asked Yuda to say thanks to his friends who helped him move forward in life. Now Okaya can't do anything. He left the home respectfully saying that he's glad Yuda is fine. While moving toward the car, Ajiki asked Okaya if what they did just now is okay. Okaya answered with yes and explained that if they were to tread any further, they might expose their deeds to Yuda's mother and it would be deemed necessary to suppress her. If Yuda was guilty, the culprit would just have to cut him off and Okay's and Ajiki would be the ones in danger instead. Ajiki asked him if this means he lost to them. Okaya answered that he did lose in the manipulation of why Yuda using his mother. Their victory condition was to figure out the mastermind behind Yuda's action. Hence, it did not matter whether he had to concede as long as he's able to obtain the necessary information. The profiling of the mastermind. Remembering what Yuda told his mother, Okaya said that there were other words Yuda could have chosen to get past the crises. He guesses the choice of words is hereditary. In the end, Ajiki guesses if the culprit is Nagari's mother. Okaya answered with yes. Ajiki asked him if he had a way to locate her. Okaya didn't answer the question and said that there's someone he'd like to meet when the summer break is over. On the other hand, Maria was driving the car while Yuda was lying in the back seat. He was thinking that thanks to Sensei, who is Maria, he was able to project his mom, but the trip around Japan was a complete lie. Hence, he'll probably be killed after this and be deemed as missing. He thought that this is an obvious conclusion. If only he didn't exist in this world. He thought that if only he was able to withstand bullying, Maria's family wouldn't have to suffer this much. That's why he decided to stop crying. The role he played today was a future that Nagari could have had. After a while, they reached the destination and Maria asked Yuda to get out of the car. This place is Maria's home. She told Yuda that he has to stay with her until everything is over. After getting fresh, Maria prepared dinner for Yuda. He said thanks and started eating food thinking that the only way he can be useful is to not do anything on his own anymore. Maria also told him that he's just a hindrance to her right now. However, she understands his feeling of waiting to be helpful. Hence, she decided to set a few conditions. Saying that, she shows him a computer and tells him that she wants him to be a hacker. She explains that his first objective will be to clear a legal hacking simulation game. Henceforth, she'll have him take the Information Security Management Examination, the CCNA, Registered Information Security Specialist Examination, the SICH. Once he'll receive these 4 certifications, she'll make him her accomplice. She told him that this'll take a whole year and asked him to take his time with it. Before leaving, she told him that the reference books he needs and his bed will be in this room. Before she left, Yuda asked her why she's giving him a chance. Maria answered that because she believed in him. After leaving Yuda's room, Maria went to take a shower. While doing that, she thought that this way, she'll go just as she had planned. She thought that Yuda's self-esteem had been destroyed due to his bullying experience. Even if she were to keep him in captivity, there are still risks of him running amok again. Hence, she gave him a goal of getting his certifications as a means to control his further actions. She thought that the way Yuda is clumsy and yet earnest at heart is a little similar to Nagari. She wonders if she were to tell the truth to Taichiro that Nagari's death wasn't an accident, could he have protected him from Kinugawa? She thought that if that's the case, they could have been in this together. But Maria didn't want her ex-husband to work with her because what she's doing is really dangerous. If Taichiro also dies, who would protect Nagari's grave? She thought that the one who will shoulder the sins should only fall on her, the one who no longer has anything to lose. On the other hand, Taichiro has woken up in the hospital. When he woke up, there's a guy who was holding flowers for him. This guy is Inspector Reiji. Reiji said that he brought the flowers to mourn his colleague that died in the line of duty. But apparently, that colleague crawled back to life like a stubborn man. Hearing that, Taichiro stops him from joking further and says that they should get to the point. He reports that the culprit that assaulted him was Kinugawa from St. Spring Academy's second-year Class C. He's the childhood friend of the missing Shikimi. During the time of the crime, Kinugawa was recording the situation on his smartphone. They can assume that he planned to relay the information to another party after the incident. However, Taichiro doesn't have any connections to Kinugawa prior to this point. Hearing the whole report, Reiji said thanks to him because this was a lot easier compared to questioning the general public. After hearing his thanks, Taichiro can't believe that Reiji is being so cooperative. Reiji told him that he's kind to people who know where they stand. Then, Taichiro asked him if he wanted Reiji to answer some of his concerns. Reiji decided to cooperate. He asked him about the his and run case during his son's suicide attempt 2 years ago. He told Reiji that he was removed from the investigation to his home until he was cleared of abuse allegations. Later on, he was only given a summary of the aftermath. Reiji was the detective in charge of that case. Even now, Taichiro can't deny that he had nothing to do with his son's suicide attempt. However, even though he doesn't have anything in common with Kinugawa, it's a completely different story if they are talking about Kuretaka and Kinugawa. Saying that, Taichiro asked him if he's hiding something from him. Hearing that question and everything, Reiji angrily plucked out some flowers and asked Taichiro if he's suggesting that his son was driven to his death by Kinugawa's gang and the police are covering it up for them. He asked him what the police would gain from covering up the mess of some students. Asking that, Reiji went to meet someone. He said to that person that none of the surveillance cameras in the area captured anyone with any resemblance to the individual known as Kinugawa. However, due to this incident, Taichiro has raised his suspicions and there's a possibility that he might seek out the truth in the future. He asked the person how they should proceed with this matter. The person to whom he's reporting the matter is Chief Inspector. She asked Reiji to not worry. He said that she traced the location of Kinugawa's smartphone. They can send their men to collect it right away. Hearing that, Reiji said thank you and was about to speak further, but the chief inspector stopped him. She told him that the reason for peace in Japan is due to the fact that the citizens fear the police. They wouldn't even think about fighting against the police. If the police were to become an item of ridicule, peace would no longer be a matter of fact. And yet to think the police were being toyed with by some middle school delinquents. She reminds Reiji that this is a face that must never be made public by any means. Saying that, she said to Reiji that he resolved to take up the dirty work in the name of peace. And for that, she would like to reward his resolution. She asked him if her expectations are a burden to him. Reiji answered with no and said that he'll live up to her expectations. This was all just a script. Okaya was sitting inside his car saying to the chief inspector that he's so proud of her for following the script. This chief inspector is his mother named Shizuka. At a luxurious house, Okaya was sitting and talking. Mother, you came from a wealthy background and are also the police chief inspector. Father, you're the psychiatrist for the police force. At this time, Okaya is sitting in his sofa while his mother and father are on the ground like slaves. Okaya said to his parents that for their son's sake, the both of them willingly become his accomplices. He said that he's always grateful to both of them. Saying that, he asked his father, who was kneeling on the ground, about what they should do for the class presentation for the cultural festival this year. Father was really scared and asked, what about a haunted house? Hearing the suggestion, Okaya started beating the father and asked him if doesn't think it's a little rude to treat his lovely son like a monster. Then, he moves on to the mother who was in the same condition as the father. She suggests cafes. Okaya didn't like the suggestion, saying that it's worse to imitate a servant and started piercing Shizuka's chest with a sharp stick. Even while the blood is coming out, Shizuka's expression didn't change. Shizuka apologizes and reminds Okaya that during the St. Springs Cultural Festival, there would be parental guardians that come from large corporations. Therefore, the opportunity to be able to get in direct contact with them would certainly benefit Okaya's cause in the future. Hearing that, Okaya stopped poking her chest and said that she had a valid point. Okaya said sorry to his mother for stabbing her. Shizuka asked him to not worry, saying that it was her fault for omitting her words in the first place. Then, Okaya threw some grapes on the ground, saying to Shizuka that she can eat it. With that, Okaya left his parents alone. Meanwhile, Maria went to meet Yuda. When she entered the room, he told her that he had finished what she told him. She can't believe that Yuda has already cleared everything. Yuda told her that he had some prior experience with hacking, so it didn't take him long to complete it. Therefore, he decided to study for the certifications, but he thinks he's qualified enough to pass the exams. Hearing that, Maria remembered that Yuda used to be a topper in the school. Yuda said that he's not supposed to act on his own, which is why he was waiting for her next order. So, Maria decided to make use of him. She first teaches him about housework. She told him that his support as a hacker isn't required for now, so she asked to help her with housework. With that, a new term started and Maria had to go back to teaching in school again. At school, Okaya said to her that he's looking forward to working with her. With a smile, Maria said that it would be her pleasure. The reason why St. Spring Academy has a higher budget for cultural festivals despite that it's only open to guardians of the students is deeply tied to the donations. The head of the academy personally entertains all the major donors, and Okaya's parents are included in that list. She wanted to kill Kinugawa during the cultural festival, but due to Yuda's interference, she had to deal with Kinugawa ahead of time. On stage, some students were performing. While they were performing, Maria looked at the boy and noticed that he seemed to be doing better than she thought. But when he came out after the performance, he looked sad. Maria immediately said thanks to him for his hard work. The boy heard that and noticed her. He apologized to her and mentioned that he didn't mean to show her that side of his. Then, Maria asked him if he's worried about the missing students. The boy stayed silent for a moment and then said that he's not worried. He said that due to the disappearance of Kinugawa's group, he's been living peacefully in the school. He told her that he never met Kowis, as he went missing at the start of April, but to be perfectly honest, the boy mentions that Kinugawa and Shikimi are both delinquents. One day, Kinugawa and Shikimi were smoking in the class. Shikimi said that even if they smoke as a minor, the one who'll get in trouble are the adults. Kinugawa said that the people who succeed in life are those who make use of loopholes like this. When the boy reported them to the teacher just asked him to let it slide while pretending to lecture them. The teacher said that because this boy can't bring up the donation those two bring in. Just because of that, to just give up on them and enjoy the cultural festival, the boy feels that it's wrong. Hearing that, Maria asked him what's wrong with that. She said that rather than wasting his time fretting over delinquents, it is more worthwhile to invest in serious and hardworking students. She mentions that she's heard rumors that the problematic students are distributed to new teachers. Hence, it is perfectly normal for him, a first-year teacher, to suffer while the veterans get spoon-fed with the cream pot. She said that regardless of the moral conclusion that he has to come to, this will be for naught if the teacher is completely worn down by the dilemma. Before he could say anything, Maria continued, saying she understood how he felt about this. No matter how hopeless it seems, they try to search for a path of penance because they are dealing with children. Hence, Maria suggested to him that instead of giving up on the students, he should watch over them instead. She said this because she thinks that letting the child make their own choices is a part of a teacher's duty as well. Hearing all that, the teacher said she's right. They should create a cultural festival that's so fun that all of the students would want to come join them after reflecting on their actions. Maria heard that, agreed with him in her mind. She thought that this man is what a real teacher is supposed to be. She herself is not fit to be an educator, but she still wants them to enjoy the cultural festival in peace as well. At that moment, Okaya arrived there with Ajiki. Okaya called Maria and said that he finally found her. Hearing the call, Maria thought that as per usual, this kid can't take a hint. After entering the second semester, Okaya has been actively seeking her out. If he's sure of her involvement, he would have launched an attack. Thus, Okaya is probably just probing her. Maria showed a smile and asked Okaya if something's wrong. Okaya asked her that if it's all right with her, he wants her to come to the student council room with them. In my mind, Maria immediately refused, but she can't actually do that. Right then, Yajima came from behind and said she was going there too, so she'll join them. The next moment, all of them were sitting in the student council room wearing different costumes. Okaya called her here to prepare for the cultural festival. As they were talking to each other, Maria thought that the student council's cultural festival itinerary is cosplay tea time, a 4-man group staying together for 10 minutes for tea while discussing a topic that'd be determined by a raffle. Before starting, all of them gave their introduction. Yajime told her name and said that she's an accountant and library committee member, and she belongs to class 2A. Next, Ajiki, the vice president and sport committee member, belongs to class 2A. Okaya, the president of the student council and healthcare committee member, belongs to class 2A. In the end, Maria, the school nurse. After the introduction, Okaya revealed the topic of discussion, what did you do during the summer holidays? Maria immediately realized that their aim was interrogation. Okaya started first, saying that he and Ajiki went to see the fireworks together. Ajiki said that he went with Okaya because he said he'll treat him to some baby castellas. As they were talking, Maria assumed that they were trying to create the flow of conversation in their favor, but she's going to make use of that as well. As Maria heard Ajiki, she said that it's not a good idea to have people treat you to things all the time. She said that there's nothing more expensive than something that's free. Hearing that, Ajiki asked her, isn't it a profit if he can get it for no cost? Before Maria could answer, Okaya mentions that mobile games are usually free but they aren't scary at all. After talking for a while, Okaya said to Maria, I hope we can both enjoy the cultural festival together. At the same time, the head of the academy received a huge pile of papers from the worker. The worker mentions that they have received a large quantity of these letters again this year. The head just glanced at the papers once and threw them in the trash bin, calling everything that is written on the papers nonsense. The papers mentioned that they have installed 2 bombs in the academy. The head said that the people who wrote these letters are all just talking. According to head, there's no way that they can actually blow up their school. At home, Yuda has prepared roast chicken cafe-style sandwiches. She looked at Yuda and thought that it's been 2 weeks since Yuda's confinement. But instructing him in a way that he doesn't get involved in her plans, his housekeeping skills have improved. Seeing him, she thought this might be how Yuda was meant to be in the first place. Yuda always had the strength to exhibit self-control. If he was weak-willed, he would have been on the side of bullies like Kinugawa. Others turned into bullies because they are weak. At school, she thought that if they became bullied because they are weak, the role of the adult should be to lead them on a path of redemption. Just like how she put Yuda on the right path. She was just as capable of doing the same for Kinugawa and the rest. She was capable of it, but she didn't do it. At that moment, Tokaya's mother arrived there. Maria saw her and thought that this isn't the right time to dwell on it. She immediately said good afternoon to her. Okaya's mother just thanked her for her hard work and left. After she left, Maria thought that it's a little too peaceful to the point that it's eerie. Inside the head office, the head was playing with the money he got from donations. Beside him, Maria was also playing with him. The head took out a piece of money from the Jenga tower and it didn't collapse. Now it's Maria's turn. The head was thinking that the tower will surely collapse in her turn, but she easily took out a piece of money. As she was playing, she thought that it's very weird that the walking obscenity, Okaya, isn't doing anything in this situation. Right then, the head looked under the sofa and found a box in which it was written, 100 million yen donation. He picked up the envelope, wondering whose donation is this. There's no name on the envelope. He remembered writing the names of every single person that donated in the roster. Maria carefully looked at the envelope and noticed that the side view of the envelope looks pretty unnatural, assuming it contains money. She immediately asked the head to not open the envelope, but it was too late. As he opened the envelope, a small explosion happened. Maria was easily able to dodge it in time, and when she looked back, she noticed that it was just a firecracker. She immediately decided to ventilate the room to prevent the fire alarm from going off. Next, she started to confirm the item that came with the explosions that was used. She saw a bomb threat detailing the next explosions written on a heat-resistant paper. She thought that if they had killing intentions, they would have chosen a more definitive method. While thinking that, she went toward the head and mentioned that she found a bomb threat so they should call the police. Hearing that, the head quickly grabbed the paper and refused to call the police, because if they did that, the cultural festival would be cancelled. He didn't get injured because he just got hit by some firecrackers. He said that he will not give in to threats made by mere firecrackers. He said that they'll deal with this issue with just the faculty members. They found another paper. In this paper, they asked the head to resign from his position if he didn't want his school to blow up. Seeing that, Maria asked him if this is the first time he received threat letters like this. The head answered that it has always been just words, nothing has ever happened. Maria concludes that the head has received threats every single year. She's unable to understand why the culprit felt the need to use such a roundabout method to achieve his goals, but there's one thing she can conclude about this. Sender is well aware of the director's tendency to protect himself and his reputation rather than securing the safety of the students. He took advantage of the fact that bomb threats were sent to this school every single year. She immediately realized that the culprit that dragged her into this game using this method is Okaya. The head checked the letter and concluded that they have to go to 6 places and look for the fireworks. Right then, the vice principal entered the room and the head shouted at him for being late. Maria then said the names of the places they have to go. Water tank, monkey bars in the schoolyard, music room, library, storage room in the gymnasium, and the boys' washroom in the old school building on the first floor. She realized the name of this place after completing the riddle given on the letter. Maria said to them that they should split up because the locations are pretty far apart. She said that she'll check spots 2 and 5, and asked them to check the others. With that, Maria left the room thinking now there's no one left to interrupt her. She thinks that Okaya wants her to play alongside his little riddle. However, she's not going to let him have that satisfaction. She said that the mystery can be solved by just going about it logically. As long as one understands the personality of the person giving out the riddles, anyone can figure out where they would choose to set the whole thing up. The simple reason being that Okaya is a type of guy who would want to watch the whole thing go down from a VIP seat. In addition, he would add a little trick to the bomb itself. Sitting in front of a bomb, she assumed that Okaya knew about it from Kinugawa, that if this is an IED that uses a pressure release system, she can't risk moving it. There are 2 conclusions that the game master has provided while they waste their time with riddles. He keeps the audience as hostages. She can either choose to win by revealing her identity, or she can pray that it'll just be another firework and lose the game. However, since she skipped the riddle solving itself, she has plenty of time. She can choose to keep her identity a secret while evaluating the hostages. But it is hard for her to believe that Okaya doesn't have a safety net to ensure his victory over a strategy like this. When only 30 seconds were left, Ajiki, who was standing beside Okaya on the VIP place, started running away. Seeing that, Maria thought that this bomb was the real one. She has already expected that Okaya might come up with a counter-strategy. She realized with this that how much Okaya wants to play with her. She said that she would have played with him, but this is merely a personal revenge out of her arrogance. She can't put innocent people that have nothing to do with this at risk just for the sake of her plans. Hence, she decided to end the revenge by killing him right now. While running, Ajiki thought that Tokaya's deduction was on the mark as Maria really appeared. If she were to feign ignorance at this point, they could confirm that she's the mother. However, from the fact that Kinugawa was kidnapped when the father was in the hospital, he wondered if Nagari's mother was stronger than Kinugawa. Last night, Okaya guessed that if Maria feigned ignorance, she might come to murder them. Hearing that, Ajiki asked if that happened, can he run away? Okaya's mother came from behind and told him that he could. She said to him that he can just run to the guardian's seat and call for her to report about seeing a suspicious person. When that happens, she can go to the second floor with legitimate cause. If Maria were to attack, she can arrest her on the claim of aggravated assault. Even if Maria doesn't attack her, the moment she chooses to feign ignorance, they can investigate her on those grounds. Ajiki tells her that there's a chance Maria has incriminating evidence against them. So if they were to arrest her, she could expose them. He asked them what would happen then. Okaya's mother answered that they can use Taikairu, who is currently in the hospital, as a hostage. She said that she has a subordinate that can head toward the hospital with a single call. In the present, Ajiki went to Okaya's mother as planned and reported everything to her while thinking that this will work in his favor if the only thing he has to do is run. As Okaya's mother left, Ajiki started running again, thinking if they were to make Maria a suspect, they could use the warrant to access her family registry and stuff. Even if she were to hide everything in a safe deposit box, they would still have access to those. And in the worst case, where the evidence against Okaya and Ajiki were to be processed and exposed, they might be able to get out of it by dumping everything on Kinugawa and the rest. At that moment, he accidentally bumped into someone, and when he looked back to see who it was, he was shocked. Meanwhile, only 15 seconds are left until the bomb activates. Maria thought that she should start to get into a position where she'll be able to kill all of them with ease. Her plan is as follows. First off, she'll cut the white cord to stop the bomb. And she'll start off by getting rid of Okaya's mother, who is probably standby off stage and hidden from everyone else's line of sight. And through the back passage, she'll attack Okaya and kill him. From the right side of the stage, she'll proceed to the second floor, toward Ajiki, who is heading toward the exit. She'll kill him by piercing his neck with the pen, and that'll be the end of all of this. At that moment, Tokaya's mother was about to open the door to reach Maria, but the person who bumped into Ajiki didn't let her out. Ajiki was angry seeing that and thought that this wasn't what Okaya said. This isn't going how Okaya planned. Because the person they were supposed to take as a hostage, Taikairu, is already here. He grabbed Maria's hand, and while she was shocked, he cut the wire to stop the bomb. At that moment, Tokaya's mother opened the door. Taikairu got up and asked her to contact the bomb squad immediately. He didn't even glance at Maria, so she wondered if Taikairu didn't realize who she was. The next moment, Okaya's mother, Taikairu, the principal of the school, and Maria were sitting together to discuss the situation. Maria looked at Taikairu and thought that the reason he's not recognizing her might be because she went through plastic surgery. Taikairu then talked, saying they have received the examination report from the bomb squad. According to the report, although it was modeled impeccably similar to a real bomb, it has no real chance of detonation. Hearing that, Maria was relieved. She guesses that Okaya's motive was just to find out who she was. A fake bomb would do the trick as well. Then, Okaya's mother talked. She said that even though it was apparent, they will still be launching an investigation to find the culprit. According to her, the only ones who are able to do anything similar to this are people who have ties to the academy. Suddenly, the principal smashed the table and called them one-sided people because they decided to report the issue and started an investigation on their own terms. He has heard the rumors before that the G Prefecture police were oppressive and incompetent. Now he can see that it was true. The principal quickly made up a lie, saying that toy bomb was a performance from him for his staff and students. He angrily accused the police of ruining his performance and asked them what they were going to do about it. While Okaya's mother was confused, Maria knew everything. She used the principal's tendency to cover things up and made up this lie. Okaya's mother asked the principal why did he choose to present something that required the information of Nagari. He answered that it was to ensure that they will not forget about a student who died in an unfortunate accident. While they were talking, Taikairu suddenly bowed down and apologized for ruining their performance by reporting the incident without double-checking with the school. Still, the principal didn't stop and reminded them to deal with the real case of the missing students. He is talking about Kowis and others who died at the hands of Maria. He asked them to find those students first. Hearing that, Taikairu apologized again for their lack of ability. The principal said that the apology will not do anything. He asked him if it's not the arrogance of the police that delays the resolution of the case. As Taikairu heard that, he said that for the resolution of the case, he's thinking of filling a victim impact statement about the fact that he was attacked by Kinugawa from Class 2C the other day. While the principal got worried after hearing that, Taikairu continued. He said that he has heard that Kinugawa and Shikimi were often seen together. If it proves to be difficult to procure statements from students, he decided to speak directly to Kinugawa. Immediately, the principal went back to his seat and humbly asked him to calm down. He said that he became emotional due to the distrust of the police, but in regards to searching for the missing students, they're still allies. He said that he'll do his utmost to cooperate with the police, so he requested to get through this peacefully. He immediately pointed at Maria, telling the police to ask her if they have any questions in regards to the students. Saying that, he whispered to Maria to stop that detective even if she has to use her body. Taikairu asked her if she's okay with this arrangement. She thought that it's better for her to reject being the contact point between the police and the student, but the reason why Okay's mother isn't stopping this arrangement is probably because they've judged that they can make use of this relationship. She thought that Taikairu might also just be looking for them earnestly. However, if he does realize who she is, she wonders what is he trying to tell her.